Hi, today we are going to enter the fairy tale world to learn something new. The story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, long, long ago, a king and queen ruled over a huge palace. Queen was very kind and beautiful, and all the people of the kingdom adored her. The only sadness in the queen's life was that she wished for a child but did not have one. One winter day, the queen was doing needlework while gazing out her ebony window at the new fallen snow. As she looked outside, she said to herself, "Oh, how I wish that I had a beautiful daughter that had skin as white as snow, lips as red as a rose, and hair as black as ebony." Soon after that, a beautiful princess was born. Her hair was as black as ebony, her lips were as red as a rose, and her skin was as white as snow. She was named Snow White, but sadly, the queen died after giving birth to Snow White. Soon after, the king married a new woman, who was beautiful but utterly cruel. She had studied dark magic and owned a magic mirror, of which she would daily ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror always used to say that the queen was the fairest of all. That would please the queen greatly, as she knew that her magical mirror could speak nothing but the truth. The days passed, and Snow White grew to be an extremely beautiful girl. Snow White was very generous and gentle to everyone. One morning when the queen asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" she was shocked when it answered, "Snow White is the fairest of them all," said the magic mirror. The queen flew into a jealous rage and ordered her huntsmen to take Snow White into the woods to get killed. She demanded that the huntsman returns with Snow White's heart as proof. The huntsman took Snow White into the forest but found himself unable to kill the girl. Instead, he let her go and brought the queen the heart of a wild boar. Snow White was now alone in the forest, and she did not know what to do. The trees seemed to whisper to each other, scaring Snow White, who began to run. She ran over sharp stones and through thorns. She ran as far as her feet could carry her. She got scratched, was bleeding, and was very scared. Yet she ran on and on. Snow White was all alone in the forest. It was getting dark when she finally saw a small house. She took a sigh of relief and approached that house. She entered the house but found no one there. Inside the house, everything was small but untidy. There was a little table with an untidy white tablecloth and 7 little plates. Against the wall, there were 7 little beds, all in a row and covered with quilts. The house looked messy. She cleaned the house. Because she was so hungry, Snow White ate a few vegetables and a little bread from each little plate, and from each cup, she drank a bit of milk. Afterwards, because she was so exhausted, she laid down on 7 small beds in a row and fell fast asleep. In the meantime, the 7 dwarfs were heading home from a long day of working in the jewel mines. When they opened the door, you can imagine their surprise when they saw their house all cleaned up. "What kind of magic is this?" said one of the dwarfs, whose name was Doc. "I wouldn't mind more magic like this," said another of the dwarfs with a smile. His name was Dopey. "We'd better check upstairs," said another dwarf, whose name was Grumpy. "Something is fishy around here, that's for sure." Then they saw Snow White sleeping in their beds. They screamed with shock. Snow White woke up hearing them shout. Then, all the dwarfs introduced themselves to Snow White and asked who she was and what she was doing in their house. Soon they all relaxed and shared their stories. Snow White learned their names: Bashful, Dog, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. She told them all about her stepmother, that her stepmother had tried to get the huntsman to kill her, that the huntsman had set her free in the woods, and that she could never go back home again. The dwarfs felt pity for her. "Stay here with us," said Bashful. "That's sweet," said Snow White. "But if I were to stay here in your home, I would have to do something for all of you." They told her that she could stay in the house if she could help them with the household chores and make them suppers. "Yes," said Snow White, "with all my heart." Snow White greatly enjoyed keeping a tidy home. So Snow White lived happily with the dwarves. During the day when she used to be alone at home, she used to play with the small birds and animals around the house. She was very content with her peaceful life. And so the days passed. Back at the castle, the cruel queen, in the misconception of the death of Snow White, proudly asked the mirror the same question yet again. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" "Snow White is the fairest of them all," said the magic mirror. "That's impossible," screamed the queen. "The girl is no longer alive." "Snow White lives," said the magic mirror. And an image was shown in the mirror of Snow White living in the house of the seven dwarfs. She was fiercely puzzled at hearing this. She understood that she has been deceived by the huntsman. This time, she decided to take the charge herself and kill Snow White. She went to her secret room and poisoned an apple. It was so heavily poisoned that even a small bite could kill the person who eats it. Coloring her face, she disguised herself as an old peddler woman so that no one would recognize her. At the cottage of the dwarfs the next afternoon, when the seven dwarfs were away at work, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" said Snow White. She remembered the warning of the seven dwarfs not to open the door to anyone. "It's only a poor old woman," came a squeaky voice. Snow White put her head out of the window and asked the purpose of the old lady at the door. "Selling the tastiest apples," answered the old woman. "Take a look at this big red apple," said the old woman. Reluctant to take it at first, poor Snow White fell into the trap. She merely took a bite of the poisoned apple and fell to the ground dead. The queen looked at her with an evil stare, laughed loudly, and said, "White as snow, red as a rose, and black as ebony wood. The dwarfs shall never awaken you." The wicked queen cackled and went back to the palace. Once again, she asked the mirror who is the fairest lady of all. This time, the mirror replied, "You, my queen." She gave a loud, evil laugh. When the dwarfs returned from their work, they were shocked to see Snow White lying dead on the floor. They talked to her, shook her, and wept over her, but nothing helped. They laid her on a bed of straw. All seven sat next to her, mourned for her, and cried for 3 days. They were going to bury her, but she still looked as fresh as a living person, and still had her beautiful red cheeks. They said, We cannot bury her in the black earth. They had a transparent glass coffin made so she could be seen from all sides. They laid her inside, and with golden letters wrote on it her name, and that she was a princess. The seven dwarfs gently lifted her into a glass coffin. Then they put the coffin outside on a mountain, and one of them always stayed with it and watched over her. The animals too came and mourned for Snow White, first an owl, then a raven, and finally a dove. Once, it so happened that a prince was passing by the forest, and he saw the coffin. He had known and loved Snow White, and when he saw her in the coffin, he asked the dwarfs what exactly had happened to her. After hearing about the brutal incident, he requested the dwarfs to hand him over the coffin. He said to the dwarfs, "Let me have this coffin, and I will pay what you like for it." But the dwarfs answered, "We will not sell it for all the gold in the world." Then he said, "Then give it to me, for I cannot live without Snow White. I will honor her and protect her as long as I live." The dwarfs initially denied giving the coffin, but the prince convinced them to give it to him. The prince opened the coffin and kissed Snow White's hand. With the kiss of love, she woke up at once. The prince's love for Snow White won over the wicked queen's hatred for her. The prince married Snow White. People in and around the kingdom got to know about the queen's cruel act, and she was thus banished forever from the land, and a prince and Snow White lived happily ever after. The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs story teaches us that love wins over everything. So spread the love. Don't be jealous. Try to improve yourself and enhance yourself as a better person. The mirror names Snow White as the fairest of all, not because of her physical beauty but because of her good heart. Therefore, the idea that real beauty comes from within is also addressed in this fairy tale. This story has one more message for children: do not trust strangers. I'm going to add more stories in this series that will help you to get fluent in English, so be with me, guys, for more good stories. And click the bell icon for future updates. Thank you. See you with the next story.